还有另外一个项目呢，也是我们去年也是很喜欢的一个项目，就是叫 ETHGAS。ETHGAS 它解决的问题呢，基本上呢就是告诉大家说，以太坊在交易的时候有这个 block space， 那你要如何把这个 block space 呢来去把它活化？来去把它交易，或甚至创造出一些新的玩法，所以 ETHGAS 是要做这个事情，而且还要做更多。So today we're really happy, to have ETHGAS as one of our early supporter, and we are very happy to be their early supporter. And then we'll have Kevin to tell you more about what's ETHGAS, what they're solving, and why it's important. Let's welcome Kevin from ETHGAS.
All right, thank you, MrBlock. And welcome to Hong Kong, if anyone's from out of town. My name's Kevin, founder of ETHGAS, and most of our team is based here. So Ethereum is a huge blockchain, the largest, most decentralized, and its market cap is variable, but when I made this slide, it was worth 300 billion. Now, these are two prominent people within the Ethereum ecosystem. If you know anyone know who these guys are? No, okay. Well, you should. So we have Tom Lee on the left. Basically, he runs the BitMine DApp, and you have Joseph Lubin on the far right. He's the other co-founder of Ethereum. He runs the SharpLink DApp. Tom Lee and his crew, they own about $10 billion of ETH. Joseph Lubin owns about 2 billion of ETH. Now, they have these views that Ethereum is going from, just over 2,000 today to ETH is going to 50K. ETH is going to 200,000. But the question is how do you get there? It doesn't just ETH doesn't just pop 20, 30, 50 times. And so Ethereum has a couple problems. The first problem is MEV. It's a 12-second blockchain. You can front run, sandwich attack. There's all these actors who are basically taking away from the end users. And the second one, of course, is Ethereum is super slow. It takes 12 seconds for the block, and Solana is much, much, much faster. And so these are the last two major unlocks for Ethereum as an ecosystem. And so a quick intro to block space. That's what we do. This is a conventional block of Ethereum. It is 12 seconds long, and there are many transactions that go into a block of Ethereum. This is, let's just say, this is the start of the block. That's the end of a block. And once the block is done, the network then tells you what's the price, where did you trade at, where did you transact at. But with every block, there's this MEV, and this is you have these nefarious or bad actors who basically reorder transactions within the block to maximize the value to themselves. And so that's MEV. Now, how much is a block worth? And so 1 minute of Ethereum is worth about $500. So you guys could go out today, buy an actual minute of Ethereum, control the entire network for about $500. It's pretty cheap. And that's the point. It's that the block space is very much underutilized on Ethereum. And so the answer is basically in block space markets. And so block space is the single most valuable instrument in crypto. If you don't have block space, Ethereum is worth 0. All the assets on Ethereum are worth 0. So block space is the single most valuable asset. And so, of course, in the real world, we have commodity markets like energy, metals, precious metals, base metals, agriculture. But these markets serve multiple purposes to help people risk manage, for price discovery, and it eliminates cartels as well. And so we need block space markets for Ethereum and for crypto, and that's basically what ETHGAS does. And so the way it works is that you can actually go ahead, as I said, and buy blocks of Ethereum. And so if these are the first or the last 3 blocks, you could go and buy the next, and the next block. And as I said, you could control the actual network itself and the almost $1 trillion of assets on it. Now, I'll skip this, but you can trade the block, you can build it, break it into pieces. I'll just kind of skip through this part here. But we had a bit of an epiphany in November last year. We said, well, what if we took a block and we did something a little bit different? And so, as I said earlier, this is your typical block. But what if we were to create like a real-time experience on Ethereum? So we would take that block, we would cut it into these 100 millisecond like sub-blocks. And then within each sub-block, you'd have like a start and an end of each sub-block. So now instead of a 12-second block on Ethereum, you actually have like multiple of these tiny blocks. And this is effectively how we make Ethereum real time, or how we make it like much faster. And in this environment, there's no front running, there's no sandwich attacks, like MEV basically just disappears from the network as a whole. And so, earlier I was highlighting that basically like MEV is what drives the blockchain, it's what pays validators. But when you make Ethereum real time, like who benefits from this? And so you look at like DEXs, for example. Let's take like Uniswap, for example. Currently, you can only trade one time in 12 seconds on Uniswap. But if Ethereum is real time, you could trade 10 times. You could trade 100 times. And so AMMs make billions of dollars more. Basically, Uniswap is expected to have 2 to 3 times more revenue simply because of our unlock with ETHGAS. And it's not just Uniswap themselves. You would trade in between Uniswap and the other L2s, or like Lighter. You do a lot of this like cross-chain arbitrage trading as well, and that drives even more revenue to the L1 and the L2s. There are lending protocols as well. Lending protocols can increase their leverage. They can basically reduce their risk. And there's the everyday person. And so within your wallet, there's conventionally you could do slow transactions, medium or fast, but there's basically like this instant transaction now. And so it just unlocks for every person across the ecosystem. And so those are just the immediate unlocks for Ethereum. But of course, if we make Ethereum 100 times faster, then a lot of the liquidity from the other L1s are going to shift to Ethereum. From the L2, it's going to shift to Ethereum as well. But again, the entire ecosystem just gets much stronger as the base chain itself becomes faster. And so with 5 billion of benefit, as I said before, block space used to be worth about $100 per block. And we've now made Ethereum's blocks about 19 times more valuable. So basically, you have the blockchain, it feels 100 times faster than before. We've eliminated MEV. We've brought almost 20 times more utility to the network itself. What impact is this going to have to Ethereum as a network, and what is our contribution to it? So that's Ethereum unlocked. The world can now be in real time through ETHGAS. And if you'd like an airdrop, go there right now. All right, thanks guys.